About 10 minutes later, I started seeing some lights in my rearview mirror. Thought it was a car at first. The lights got closer and so much brighter. They were almost blinding me. And then everything went black. I woke up laying on this metallic table or bed thing. And I saw it's a tall, humanoid-looking creature, grayish color, long arms bent back.
Do you believe in aliens? I'm Cassi Moon, and this is Something Scary to Talk About. Let's welcome our guest, David Becker. Hi, David. How are you doing? Everything good?
Hi, I'm fine. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? How old are you?
I'm 57. I was born near Cleveland, Ohio, but we moved around a lot when I was a kid. Pennsylvania, Virginia, even LA for a while. My parents were kind of hippies.
Do you enjoy that lifestyle?
Parts of it. I mean, we actually lived in a hippie commune for a little while when I was a kid. I loved it. The freedom, the sense of community. But I grew up to work in the corporate world. I think that kind of disappointed my folks a little bit. Well, I ended up in West Texas, and...
Is that the place where you got that alien experience? Or can we jump into that?
Yeah, sure. Summer 2011, newly divorced, had some health issues, some other personal problems. I decided to do some stuff on my bucket list. And one of those things was to go on a road trip all around the country.
Love that.
I wanted to drive to every state. Well, from West Texas, the closest state to us was New Mexico. So that's where I decided to start. I came up with a plan, decided my route, how much time I was going to spend in each state, packed up the car with food and water, whatever I'd need, and took off for New Mexico. The sunsets there are just gorgeous. They're like a movie. And each little town has a charm all its own, and everybody knows everybody. It's like some old Western movie. I love New Mexico. The food, the people, scenery. I even stayed longer than I planned because I wanted to see the caves.
Was it your first time visiting New Mexico?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it was time to leave the state, and I was driving on one of those wide open highways they have. I don't know if you've ever been to New Mexico, but on those open roads, there is no light pollution. You can see for miles. At night, you can see all the stars. And that was just so different for me because I hadn't lived anywhere like that before. I had always lived near cities. So I'm driving on one of those open roads, and the sky started to change colors. I had to pull over just to take it all in. I stood there, took a couple pictures with my phone, got back in my car, and got back on the road. About 10 minutes later, started seeing some lights in my rearview mirror. Thought it was a car at first. The lights got closer and so much brighter. They were almost blinding me. And then I thought it was a truck, but that was too big and those lights were too bright to be any vehicle I had ever seen. I kept looking in the rearview mirror to see who was driving, and then I started swerving, almost drove off the road at one point. So I had to refocus my attention on my driving, and the lights were gone. So I kept going. I was looking around, couldn't see anything but the road in front of me, so I thought I was in the clear. I thought whatever it was gone, but couldn't escape the feeling I had. There was either somebody trying to run me off the road or something else, which was even scarier.
And even it's dark in there, so
Yeah.
scarier now.
What else could I do? I mean, there was nobody to call. The cops wouldn't come out there. So I kept going. And then GPS started acting all crazy and my phone started glitching. All the lights in the car came on, dashboard, everything. And then everything went black. I woke up in this small room, laying on this metallic table or bed thing. I looked around trying to see if I could recognize anything, and I couldn't. Nothing looked familiar. And then I realized I was naked. I was completely naked on this metal bed. And I couldn't move. It was so cold and felt so weird on my skin. It was almost like I was magnetized. I wasn't tied down or anything, but I could not move. The air was heavy, hard to breathe. It was terrifying. This room was metallic, shaped like a pyramid. I was just taking it all in and just scared out of my mind. And then I saw a light out of the corner of my eye, like a door had opened. And I heard these steps, heavy steps. It was terrifying. Then I saw him.
What was it?
It's a tall, humanoid-looking creature. Grayish color. Long arms bent back. Took a few steps towards me and just stared at me. I couldn't move, I couldn't talk. He didn't communicate anything at all. He was just staring. No expression. No nose, really. 2 holes for nostrils, I guess. Big eyes. Thin mouth.
Was it the only creature that came in?
That's all I saw. Because things went black again. Suddenly, I was back in my car, driving, like nothing ever happened. I jumped in my seat. I looked around. Nobody, nothing. But I could not escape this feeling that something very unusual had just gone down.
Do you think you might have fell asleep while driving?
No. I looked at my dashboard.
Everything's working now.
Yes, including the clock. 4 hours. 4 hours had passed. There's no way I was driving 4 hours in that spot. What happened to those 4 hours? I pulled over at the next motel I saw. I remember checking in, getting a room, and then nothing. Next thing I remember, I was standing outside the door with my suitcase in my hand, like I was getting ready to leave. But I remember nothing before that.
Do you think those 4 hours might have done something to you? Do you feel different?
I don't know what happened. They did something to my memory. There are some things from that night I remember so clearly. But there are big chunks of time that I can't remember at all. Nothing.
What led you to believe that you were abducted by aliens?
Led me to believe it? It happened. And I can't forget it. Those moments where I was face to face with an alien being were the most terrifying of my life. I've never been that scared before since I hope I never am again.
Have you thought about going back to that place, maybe find some answers?
No. You don't understand. As scary as those things were that I do remember, what really scares me are the chunks of time where I remember nothing. I don't know what happened to me. That's the most terrifying part of all of this.
I have no words. I can't imagine what you went through. I have never experienced something myself like that. Who was the first person you told about this story?
Only one person. Until today. I told a girlfriend about it once. We were in bed, feeling very comfortable with each other. We were smoking a little something, and I was just feeling very peaceful and free, and I told her the whole story. I barely remember the telling of it, but I can't get out of my head. It's the look on her face when I finished. Our relationship ended a couple weeks after that. She just couldn't get past what I told her. She was acting like she realized she was with some crazy guy. It just went downhill from there. I couldn't tell anyone else after that. But I just got to the point where I couldn't keep it in anymore. It was eating away at me. I had to tell my story.
This is the best moment for you to share it, because all these people that are watching now know that they exist. What happened in those 4 hours, we will never know. But it seems like you're doing okay. It seems like you haven't changed. And
hopefully this telling of it will release me of the burden of keeping that secret, keeping that to myself. I don't know if people are going to believe it. Some people are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm not. I'm not crazy. I didn't imagine it. I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't too tired, dreamed it. It happened. As sure as I'm sitting here, it happened.
Can you paint a clearer image of the lights that were following your car?
At first I thought it was a car. But then the lights just kept getting closer and brighter.
You don't think maybe just kept, like a car kept pushing?
No, that's just it. That vehicle, those lights, it was like no vehicle I had ever seen before.
You think that was the UFO, like the thing that carried the alien, that took you to that place?
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I saw these bright lights. They were blinding me, and then they were gone. I didn't know what it was.
Like an impossible moment. Like, how are they gone?
Yeah, exactly. How were they gone?
Okay.
They were there, and then they weren't.
You mentioned that the lights went totally black. And were you able to see anything during that blackness?
No, they disappeared. All I saw were the stars and the road in front of me.
Before this experience, did you ever believe in aliens?
No. I mean, I couldn't say they did exist or they didn't exist, you know. Nobody knows. I never saw one. Somebody told me a story like this, I'd probably be skeptical. But it happened.
The description of the creature is pretty vivid. Do you remember something specific that kind of caught your eye and you were sure this is not from planet Earth?
The height, he was tall, slender, grayish.
Definitely not human.
No. I mean, 2 arms, 2 legs, a torso, a head, but it ended there.
Thank you for joining us today and for sharing your story. And for everyone watching, now we know we're not alone. I'm Cassie Moon, and this is Something Scary to Talk About. Thank you for watching. Until next time.